Again, we are on page 304. Actually, we're on 305. I was on that thing. 304, 305. And they kind of go hand in hand, so that's why I combine them together. So we are going to do, will you seek and serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself, and will you strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being? So those are the final two questions. We do not meet next week, but we will have all of our Holy Week services. And I'll talk about that a little bit. So, first question. We open with collect. Today is the Feast of the Annunciation. So, if you're counting, we are 9 months until Christmas, y'all. March 25th. So, to open us, I'm going to read the Feast of the collect for the Feast of the Annunciation. Let us pray. Pour your grace into our hearts, O Lord, that we who have known the incarnation of your Son, Jesus Christ, announced by an angel to the Virgin Mary, may by his cross and passion be brought to the glory of his resurrection, who lives and reigns with you in the unity of the Holy Spirit, one God, now and forever. Amen. And obviously this feast often falls during Lent. It is very rare that we have Holy Week and Easter before this day. I think the earliest it can be is just a little bit earlier. I looked up those dates at one point. So, we're going to do these two questions separately. What does it mean for you to seek and serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself? This is for you personally, not for in general. All right, y'all don't all answer at once.
That's the no exceptions.
That's the no exceptions.
That's the no exceptions.
No exceptions, that's right. Or if you want to think of it this way, your neighbor is anybody we come across. The no exceptions.
Well, as far as the part that says, will you seek and serve Christ in all persons? I think that as we go through our daily lives, day to day, the people we meet, we need to strive within ourselves to recognize Christ in that person, because Christ is in each and every person, whether they're serving him or not.
True.
And we have to recognize that and minister in such a way that that person knows.
Mm-hmm. Knows. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's the idea that all beings, everybody you encounter is created by God, was created by God, is created by God. And everybody has, carries Christ in them. Anybody else? What does it mean for you to seek, serve Christ in all persons, loving your neighbor as yourself? Don't forget that. Loving as yourself, because we're going to talk a little bit about that too. We're going to talk about self-care and how important that is as well. Because we all often put everybody else before ourselves, especially if we've got a servant's heart, like many of us in this room do, I know.
I would say it's all pretty repetitive. I mean, it's love your neighbor yourself.
Yeah.
It's all love and finding Christ and seeing Christ in others and seeing Christ just in human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfulness
Exactly.
and gratitude for all that.
Yeah.
It all ties in.
Yep, it does. It's that Jesus says, love God, love your neighbor, basically everything else. All of the commandments that, all the laws that the Jewish people have in the Old Testament, either one of those two, love God or love your neighbor.
Well, and this one kind of repeats the one before. You're going to claim the
Yeah,
Lord.
they're all really tied together. It's very repetitive. I was doing the lesson, I'm like, we talked about some of this, but I don't think it hurts to talk about it again in light of the specific question.
Enlightenment.
What? Yes.
was gonna ask you, do you think you can love other people and not like or love yourself? Or does it start with loving yourself?
I think there's a degree of self-love you have to have and self-care you have to care for others. One of the things I tell people that I'm with as a clergy person is I remind people who are the caregivers, please make sure you are taking care of yourself. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, and people remind me of that. My mom reminds me, like, especially during this time of year, people remind me of that.
Mhm.
If you are caring for someone, if you are not taking care of yourself, you cannot take care of that person. I think self-care, self-love, however you want to put it, is an important part of our call, because we are also bear Christ within us, and we are also created in the image of God. So we have self-care is hugely, and I do, like, that's one of the things I will remind people. Please take care of yourself. It's just as important as taking care of whomever it is that they're the caregiver for.
Yeah, you wanna
And
be-
that's why a lot of times caregivers who have been caring for, you know, and we've had several scenarios, I mean, Todd and Lisa, when you're caring for somebody and all of a sudden they're not there, I think of Kara with her mom, you know, there's almost there's a void because you've been doing whatever for so long.
You want to be part of the solution and not part of the problem.
Yes, part of the solution, not part of the problem. So yes, I think it is important that you have to love yourself so you can love others. And care for yourself so you can care for others. And you think about it as what is the imagery I often post on Facebook? You know, you wouldn't let your battery charger get down. There's an image that if you're on Facebook, or you know, you don't let your battery charger go down. What good is it going to do if you let your battery charge down? If you let your battery go to zero. So if you are not caring for self and you're caring for somebody else, whether it be someone who's really, really sick or just, you know, your usual, whatever your usual routine is, you know, you're not good to anybody if you're not. I'm not good to y'all, I'm not taking care of myself. There you go.
At the Last Supper and again after the resurrection on the beach, Jesus was eating.
Yes,
He wasn't just having everybody else eat.
indeed. And as we just had Lazarus this last Sunday,
Right.
Jesus wept. He's very human, so, and in addition to being very divine. Name someone you have who has served you. We'll do who has served you first. Or you have treated tenderly or honored the Christ, or who has served you or treated you tenderly or honored the Christ within you. And if you want to elaborate, you may show the story of someone who has honored you, served you, taking care of the Christ within you.
My rector.
Thank you. Didn't need to do that. I'm not looking for points for myself here. And this can be now, it can be years ago, it can be when you were a kid, it can be any age. Someone who has honored the Christ within you. And we can talk about, you know, parents, we can go on and on, but very specific, really good imagery of someone who has honored the Christ within you, someone who has served you.
Explain the question. I'm not getting it.
Someone who served you, taken care of you, honored the Christ within you, treated you tenderly. What? I
Your
heard
mother, your father, your husband.
mom, dad,
Spouse.
Siblings. Yes,
Friends.
yes, yes.
My wonderful neighbors.
Neighbors, your neighbors are great. Kim?
All I have to say is Cindy Bingham. When I first came here to the Episcopal Church, I went to Grace. And Cindy came out, it was probably about 8 years ago. And she's like, oh, you know, welcome, made you feel so welcome, you know. Because I was by myself and every also down in Texas, she called me at the time.
I've made her the wonderful person she is today.
and serve each other so well and honor the Christ within each other. Y'all who, even if sometimes I hear that you check on someone or sometimes I don't hear, but I know it goes on behind the scenes unbeknownst to me a lot. When something is happening with someone, you guys are sometimes the first to know, and then I find out. And so you guys do that for each other so beautifully. And such a, and a small church is, you know, of course, known for that. You guys in particular. So we've named some of the people who serve us daily that are seen. Moms, dads, children, spouses, Carolyn church members. Oh, we're going to dance a little bit here.
How long do you do it?
I'm
hanging up. Sorry.
Okay.
buddy. So strange.
So,
Hang up.
Starting as well.
It's already cracked because of that.
so who are the,
Cigarette?
so we've named some of a lot of the seen people that we know about, our parents, our grandparents, aunts, uncles, children, spouses, fellow church members. Who are some of the unseen people who serve us daily? People we typically don't notice, but it just happens.
Mailman.
Mailman.
Just like in the post one.
People at Ace.
What?
He said the people at Ace.
The people, y'all are important now. Unseen people who serve us daily or weekly. I'm thinking about people like our people who collect the trash. If you have trash collection, I do. I'm in the city of Edgefield.
A lot of cogs that make the squeal go.
Yes, those people that, you know, we can think about I think in the church, there are the very seen roles in the church, those who stand up and read or chalice or acolyte or sing in the choir or whatever, but there's also the very unseen people. Altar Guild is one of them. You don't see them, you see the efforts of their work when you come in on Sunday.
Who's cutting all the meat? Cutting off, closing everything up.
Yeah,
Doing repairs, painting, living the
Yeah.
church 24/7.
yeah.
The housekeepers.
Housekeepers, unless you happen to be there, and sometimes I am at the exact moment they're there.
First responders.
First responders.
I have a hard time seeing this, but your politicians,
Oh, yeah.
they're working behind the scenes, trying to help somebody.
Is it part of the,
Oh, I didn't
is
even.
it part of the solution or part of the problem?
Yeah.
Both. Yeah, I can't please them all, I guess.
So we acknowledge, of course, there are a lot of people who make the world turn. That, you know, first responders is another good one. Doctors, nurses, sometimes seen, sometimes unseen. All the people that make, you know, everything happen. So I'm going to read, this is from, John Dunn, who is honored by the Episcopal Church on March 31st, so his feast day is coming up next week. And he wrote a bit about all being connected to one another. And so I'm going to read his quote here. The church is Catholic, universal, so are all her actions. All that she does pertains to all. When she baptizes a child, that action concerns me. For that child is thereby connected to that body, which is my head too, and engrafted into that body whereof I am a member. And when she buries a man, that action concerns me. A man is an island, entire of itself, is a piece of the continent, part of the main. So we are all interconnected, and we exemplify here that church literally so beautifully, because y'all are related to each other. A lot of y'all are related to each other. I'm still trying to figure it out after 2 years and a few months.
It won't happen.
What I know it won't. But if you aren't related to each other, you probably, unless you're not from here, might have grown up going to school with somebody or going to the rival school of somebody's. So y'all are already interconnected. Being in a small town makes everybody really a small small set of towns makes everybody really interconnected as well. But we are not, we're not an island. We function together very well, and as we know very well, we're all interrelated, and that's part of, I think I shared on one of the early sessions, the idea of a gentleman who had not been in church, and the minister went to see him, and he said, I worship God in nature, which is not a bad thing. I do that too. But then he was trying to encourage him to come back to church. And he took the coal out of the fire and moved coal away from the fire. And we talked about what happens when you move a coal away from the fire. It goes out, right? And the importance of our being interconnected, and we celebrate that. We will celebrate that, as I talked about last week when we baptized Aslan and Mateo in about 5 or however many weeks it is now. Yes.
One thing, there are many things that I think the Church of the Ridge does very well, and one of those, the question is, what is the church? Well, the church is us.
Yep.
And so on Sunday, the question is, where is the church this week? Well, this week, the church is in Grace. The building was there 24/7, 365, but the church is there when we are there.
Mhm.
Or Trinity or our Savior or whatever.
Right. And the church, as we learned very quickly during COVID, the church is not the building.
Right.
Because we existed, I was on part of it out on a mountain in Sewanee, but we all in our various, y'all here at Church of the Ridge continued. And we all continued in some form or fashion. And we learned that you didn't have to be in that building. Although we like being in that building and the other 2 buildings, they're beautiful, don't get me wrong, but you don't have to be in that building to be the church. And that's why it's important when we go out, we send you out, go in peace to love and serve the Lord, or whatever I send you out with. Our job when we are in church on Sunday is then to go out and take that out with us. Because again, we're interconnected. So I asked, who have you been served by? Now I'm going to ask you, and if you want to share a bit of the story, to name someone who they have been kind, compassionate, caring to, whom they have served. And we can all go on and on all night, obviously. But a story in particular that really exemplifies serving the Christ that is in somebody else. Yes. Ray, he's like up there. You know, touch the ceiling there.
I got permission from Lynn.
I seriously doubt that Lynn has to give you permission to do anything, but that's okay.
Thank you.
I had a godfather and his wife. They were like they're cousins, I guess. But Dot and Pete lived in Austin, New York. They had a house. Not the only people other than this one that owned a house when I was a kid. Okay? No one else had a house. We all had apartments. Anyway, Pete when I was in college, I guess, and Dot lived 2 weeks shy of her 102nd birthday.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, I thought it was the last 10 years of her life, maybe?
Yeah.
We did so here.
Yeah, you did.
We did too. We really did.
She's an awesome person.
She really was awesome.
Mm.
But she was how do I say this? She was the epitome of a good church lady, you know what I mean? Their whole life, Dot and Pete, their whole life was Episcopal church too. About the Episcopal church right there in Austin. And they loved it. And anyway, she was just, she made you feel like you wanted to just give more to her. Make any sense?
Yeah.
And me too. She loved her.
She was a wonderful person. She
Yeah,
really
she
was.
was.
Yeah. Being that much older and whatever, she was a wonderful person. Growing up.
Even though she liked cats.
What are they thinking? are caring to someone, not the flip side, which is having someone be kind and compassionate to care for you. Because it's a both and, of course. So Ray jumped the gun on this one, but it is important for us to care for ourselves as well. As I said earlier, I do not have the ability to care for you all if I'm not caring for myself. If I'm running myself into the ground, if I'm not getting enough rest, taking care of myself when I'm sick, all the things. And that goes for each and every one of you because we all care for, we all care for each other. We all care for spouses, children, parents, the list could go on. And so in order for us to care for people, we have to love and care for ourselves as well. And I think it's hugely important to love ourselves and love who we are. There was an exercise in the journal, that I'm like, oh, this is interesting. I'm gonna find it real quick. All about self-love. And the exercise, that's a challenge. Okay. I don't know, we can't do it now because we don't have, well, there are only 2 mirrors and they're in the bathroom. But think about doing this. I thought, ooh, this is a big one. Allow yourself between 20 and 30 minutes for this exercise. Pull a chair up to a mirror and sit comfortably in such a position that you can see yourself, at least your face, like in the mirror. Clearly, gaze at yourself and repeat at intervals, I am a beloved child of God.
Most of us have mirrors with them. They're called
Phones.
Yep.
There you go. And then, so this challenges you, and I'm just going to let you do it at home so you can do it at your own pace and in your own quiet setting if you want to create a setting. But questions after you do this kind of meditation, and you set, like, if you want to say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, set a time clock or a timer on your phone so you won't be distracted and think, oh my God, it's my time up. Just repeat to yourself, I am a beloved child of God. And so after the experience is over, strike what it felt like to sit there and tell yourself for 20 or 30 minutes and meditate on the fact that you are a beloved child of God. And just say to yourself that. I think it's a powerful thing. And the follow-up question to it is, how often do you see yourself as a beloved child of God? So I'm going to ask you that without having stared at the mirror and tell ourselves, I'm a beloved child of God for 20 minutes. How often do you see yourself as a beloved child of God? Because that's such again, it's the other piece to this caring for others and seeing others as beloved children of God as well, and seeing the Christ. We have to see the Christ within us so we can see the Christ within others, I think. It's a both and thing. So how often do we see ourselves as beloved children of God?
Well, a lot of times, each morning, we have our devotional and our prayer and our reading. And it's very easy during that period of time to recognize your relationship with God and you're this beloved child of God. When it becomes more difficult is whenever later on in the day and you're already tired and hurting and chasing the cat because it's scratching the couch, trying to get the dog to go outside, trying to tend this and tend that, and you're getting very irritated. Right then, it's a little hard to visualize yourself sometimes as this beloved child of God, and you're just saying, God, help me just get through the rest of the day. But in the mornings, when it's early and we're taking that time, that's when it's very easy to say, yes, I'm a beloved child of God.
It's a good one. Yes. Right.
I must not get to talk much at all.
I'm y'all speak. Whatever.
Anyway, so today was Archbishop of Canterbury's,
Yes.
whatever it's called.
Installation and enthronement.
And believe it or not, I know this is gonna be hard to take, but I watched
Uh-huh.
all 2 hours and 8 seconds. Anyway, it was fascinating. And her theme within her sermon was nothing's impossible with God. Okay? But as you looked at the whole ceremony, I don't know how many people were in Canterbury Cathedral.
It's like 2,000, I think.
You felt the sameness. Does it make any sense? You were a part of them.
Mhm.
And, if you haven't watched it, if you really got 2 hours, nothing else to do, if you're retired, you got nothing else to do anyway. Check it out. It's really quite moving. And they sort of just, and that's when I felt like, holy moly, as bad as I am, I might be one of these guys,
We are.
Yeah. Because I saw a lot of those, especially the little kids in the choir, making faces, eyes rolling around. It's kind of fun. Take a peek.
Imagine having one of our acolytes sit for 2 hours.
No, and that,
Yes.
I didn't watch it, but I did download what for us would be called the church bulletin, which has, the entire script of who said, and this was before the fact, but who said what and how did that work? And I was struck not for the first time as to how similar all of the churches in the Anglican communion are to one another. I mean, it could have been our service with just the appropriate
yeah,
modifications.
and as the cameras rolled over the congregants, I guess, there were people from all over the world.
Yeah, of course.
Their different garb, different languages. It was really quite cool.
And let's see, I think the gospel was read in Spanish.
Yep.
Is that right?
Luke,
Yes.
I understood one word.
So there's several languages represented as well, but yes, the worldwide Anglican communion of which we are part.
And I think there were representatives from the Roman Catholic Church and
Yes.
the Greek Orthodox Church and a couple of
Yes.
others who were invited guests there.
Yeah, I mean, at one point I saw like
Yeah.
Orthodox, but there was definitely Roman Catholic, there were some Jewish people, I mean, there were
Yeah,
lots of
Jewish
faiths.
people as well. Yeah.
as well as Christian denominations represented. So,
Yeah, I think it's really neat when you do have so many different cultures, religions, all come together for one cause. And I really felt that when I saw the monks. And
Oh, yeah.
it really impacted me because it was so many different people, classes, culture, race. I mean, it was just, and everybody was there for one reason, grace and love. It affected me.
so the service that was at Washington National Cathedral had representation from lots of different denominations and religions as they closed out their pilgrimage. So, but yes, it's a great big old melting pot. So I challenge you to do that. And for those of us, because I have those moments, I start out pretty quiet in the day and I do my devotion, I do morning prayer, whatever. But yes, you get to whatever your thing is, your cat, your dog, your child, I have a spouse, they get annoying. If traffic's your thing, an issue with traffic, and it's hard to recognize that you are a child of God, but think about that. You are always a beloved child of God, no matter what, no matter how bad your day is going. I love that. Thank you. It's beautiful. So how, in this mindset of caring for ourselves and treating ourselves as beloved children of God so we can see the Christ in each other as well, name some things that we do to care for ourselves. And one of the mantras I live with that my longtime mentor gave me, self-care is not selfish. And I have to remember that because despite this, I am one person who loves to care for others and probably puts my needs aside sometimes, and to remind ourselves that self-care is not selfish. It's important, should be an important part of our routine, no matter what it looks like. So what are some of the ways you self-care for yourself? And there are all sorts of ways to do that.
Wow.
I try to go to the gym 3 times a week.
Jim, it's a good one.
Quiet time.
Quiet time. Yes.
Walk.
Walk.
Diet.
Diet.
Second cup of coffee.
Second cup of coffee. How else do we self-care for ourselves? And it can be the simple, it can be like, I just did this, and now, of course, it's gotten cold again. I went and, after the race, I told myself after I did the 5K on Saturday, I'm like, I am going to go get a pedicure. Read a good book. Y'all, the day it snowed, after I did, it snowed Saturday or Sunday, not the ice, but snow weekend. Was it Saturday or Sunday it snowed, y'all? I get all confused. It was Sunday, right? I think it was Sunday. I literally sat in front of my window and watched the snowfall all day. That's all I did. I'm looking here at the Northerners who have it all the time, and they're like, we want to move down here and ditch that stuff. We're tired of shoveling it and looking at it. I mean, I just sat there because it is so peaceful and beautiful. And I opened, I had 2 big, beautiful windows, and I opened the curtains, opened the windows, opened the blinds, and just watched the snowfall. And didn't feel like I needed to do much of anything else.
Actually, we do that too.
Well,
We do
good.
recognize the beauty of it,
Yes.
True. True.
especially the quietness after.
The quietness of snow is it's a beautiful thing. It's amazing because people typically don't get out. It's just so hushed. What else do we do to care for ourselves? And it can be strange. I don't care how strange it is.
I love on my dogs.
Love on your dog. It's a good one.
Vacations once in a while, take.
Vacations. Have a good one.
Sleep and rest.
Sleep and rest. Yes. I know I'm looking at here, and I know beyond here, we got a bunch of people who love to get out in the yard and dig in the dirt. Plant flowers, gardens, all the things. Any other ways we self-care for ourselves?
As I age,
As you age?
I tell my body I love it
Ooh, that's
because
a good
it's
one.
still going. And I appreciate that. You know, it could be so different. So
It could
that's
be.
self-care. I have to.
It's self-care. One of my things I have,
Just don't look in the mirror.
When you were talking about that,
Mirror reflection there.
that was what I was thinking. You were talking about that exercise, sitting in front of a mirror, and it wasn't a week ago. I said, Ed, we need to get rid of mirrors.
well, here's that.
And exercise, our favorite song that we do our exercise to is I Don't Look Good Naked Anymore. Of the song.
But we are still beloved children of God.
That's right.
One of the things I have conversations with as a priest, I tell people, it's like, come as you are. God doesn't care what you look like. God just wants you there. We just want you there. This is one of the things I say, not a lot, but occasionally I'll say, just come as you are. Come as you are, because it does not matter how you look. We just want you here with us worshiping. I had a thought when you said getting rid of the mirrors and shoot, and I forgot it. Oh well. Rude. Okay.
It gets worse.
What?
I said it gets worse.
I know.
I said it.
I know.
Your memory is the second thing to go, and I don't remember what the first one is.
So loving our neighbor. We talked about love of self, loving our neighbor. So we have referred, you said it, neighbor is anybody. And so the book uses the phrase that neighbor is whoever God puts in front of us at the moment. And it can be one of us in this room. It can be our family member, or it can be a stranger on the street. Neighbor is whoever God puts us in front of us at that moment. So, who did God give you as a neighbor, other than the usual, let's do this, other than the usual people who you consider your neighbor that you see all the time, that you serve and you love? Did God give any of y'all a neighbor that you are not used to having or seeing today or in the past few days, the past week?
That guy who cut me off in traffic and now he's in front of me is also my neighbor. I have trouble with that one.
I have trouble with that one too. I mentioned road rage a little bit earlier. We forget that we are children of God when we have things like road rage, and we have to remind ourselves we're still children of God when we have road rage. Who else has had God put, I would say, interesting, just not our usual people that we think of as neighbors in front of us? Past couple days.
It was brought up earlier, and Steve and I have had this discussion sometimes during our mornings. Politicians. Because the Bible itself says we are to accept everybody as children of God.
Mm-hmm.
That includes politicians that we don't agree with
Or that
and that really tend to,
take us off.
yeah,
And I use,
and to learn to pray for them and to accept that God is, cares about them as much as he does about us, whether we want to accept that or not. And whenever we take the time and pray that our politicians are being used by God, whether they choose to or not, it makes you think twice about who all is a child of God. And that includes politicians we don't agree with.
We all, when I say we, clergy, people in the church often get questions about praying for our leaders by name, and we typically all answer we do it, whether we agree with them or not, because everybody needs our prayers and everybody is a child of God.
Some need them more than others.
So,
Even our enemies.
love your enemy. Jesus told us to love our enemies. Turn the other cheek. All of those good Bible verses. So, to that end, in the back of the prayer book, with the prayers and thanksgivings, which start at 8:14, we have, of course, prayers for the world, prayers for the church. There is a whole section of prayers for national life starting on 8:20. For our country, for President of the United States and all civil authority, for Congress legislation, courts of justice, non-government. So we have a whole set of prayers in addition to the whatever line it is, the prayers of the people that we pray for. And, like I said, we get a lot of questions. When I say we, it's the royal we, the big corporate clergy we, about, taking, not praying for certain leaders. And we're like, we just pray for them. I name them out as they are. Because everyone, I can't imagine having some of the highest offices, whether it be a mayor, a governor, president, the stress is on that person. Since we were just, Mommy and I have been looking at the liturgies for next week, but like next Friday, when we do Good Friday, in the solemn collect, we will pray for President of the United States, Congress, the Supreme Court, members, representatives of the United Nations, all who serve the common good. So it takes various dimensions depending on which set of prayers you look at. But yes, we pray for our leaders, and here we have the line because we're in 3 different communities, all of our local leaders. So there are some, as I mentioned before, all of the commandments for the Jewish people either fall into the category of loving God or loving neighbor. A lot of them fall into the category of loving neighbor. So you look at all of the ones about, like,
Welcoming the stranger.
welcoming the stranger. Taking care if your neighbor's donkey falls in a hole, or your neighbor's cow, or all of the things where you take care of neighbor. What are some of the other examples we have from the Bible of love of neighbor, care for neighbor? A couple really good ones. There's a whole parable with that.
Good Samaritan.
The Good Samaritan, is a big one. We will do this next week on Thursday, Monday, Thursday. Part of it is the foot washing. And it is such a joy and a privilege to be clergy and to wash you all's feet. It is an honor for me to serve that way. And I've seen it when the clergy have done everybody, and I've also seen it where people took turns, and you did like Larry and Cindy, you may wash each other's feet. I've seen it where if you have a line, I wash someone's feet, and then that person washes the next person's feet. But here it's so small, I wash everybody's feet because it's a joy and privilege to be able to do that, and to serve you all in that capacity. I think, as I was reflecting on this, these are two of the hardest questions of our covenant. Well, we had a great conversation on evil thanks to Ray's questions a couple weeks ago. But the other question we end with is, will you strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being? And that very much ties into the love of neighbor, because as you said, we see the Christ in everybody. So what does it mean for you, or to you, to strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being? And just a reminder, when we answer the questions, fortunately, we don't say we will. We say we will with God's help. God knows that this is some of these are nearly impossible for us. What does it mean for you to strive for justice and peace among all people and respect the dignity of every human being? That's a hard one, y'all. Even for me.
I think with the war going on, it's certainly on everybody's mind, and you have to be thinking about all sides involved, and all countries involved, and all people involved, and that we are all, no matter where we live geographically, we are all human beings made in the image of God. I think we may have different religions, but we all worship a supreme being, a God.
Mm-hmm.
We just take different paths, and being at peace, praying for those people that are in this conflict, no matter what side.
And in that area of the world, particularly the three Abrahamic faiths, there are really, truly our siblings when you talk about Christians and Muslims and Jewish people. As I prayed for last Sunday, the Christians who are having to celebrate Lent in Jerusalem, in that area, and is conflicted as it is, and the Muslims who are celebrating Ramadan. And then the Jews also had, and there is much shorter than Ramadan or Lent, but they had Purim during that period, and they were celebrating, which is a joyous celebration.
And the Anglicans who couldn't get home because of the war.
The people who couldn't get home. I saw at least one. I know we had some people from the Diocese of Connecticut with their bishop there, they had come home, but I saw several articles about churches in the state of South Carolina, different denominations who had been over there on pilgrimage. So, but yes, remembering that everybody involved in that conflict on all sides is a child of God. Anybody want to talk about how they had striven for justice and peace this week or recently?
Scotty did not yell and scream at God, cut him off.
There we go.
I didn't. I must admit I mumbled some unchristian things under my breath, but I didn't
I bet you
wave
did.
my fist at the guy.
You had your windows rolled up.
I had the windows rolled up, right? It was right where the road is furious going through Evans. So,
Always challenging any construction
right,
areas.
exactly. One of the ones that I have the most trouble with, and I have to keep telling myself, is that parable in which the person who gets Jesus' praise is the person who says simply, Lord, have mercy on me, a sinner.
Yep.
As opposed himself on the back as to how good he was.
You think of two thieves at the
Yep.
cross.
Right.
One of them, asked Jesus for forgiveness, and one of them was just like,
Yeah, I will see you tomorrow in paradise.
see you tomorrow in paradise, yes. How have we ministered to the stranger? Again, this week, past few weeks.
It's tough.
And it is tough. I mean, where we are, it is tough. So I'm just kind of throwing it out there. You can't answer out loud.
As the treasurer, I'd say support the food bank.
Yeah, we just did Rich Spring last week.
Yep.
The meal packing in Rich Spring. Sorry, I didn't complete that thought. Larry knew what I was talking about. He's looking at me like, you're crazy. I'm like, meal packing in Rich Spring. Helen goes, you go to Johnston.
Yeah.
Do you go every month? So.
I think you probably, it's not physically giving people things, but giving of yourself and your time, or your smile, or your interest with the checkout person. So I think that would, yeah, and would fall under that.
Yeah.
And I think when you ask these questions, everybody thinks of big things.
You don't have
And
to
there are a
do
lot
it.
of little things that reach it as well.
My mom does a beautiful thing. Every time we are in a restaurant, in the checkout line, she asks the name of whoever is helping us. Whether it be the waiter or the waitress, whether it be the person who's checking us out. That's just one of her things she does. She asks that person's name. It makes them, I'm seeing you. You're not just my person who's checking my groceries or my person who's taking my order wherever we happen to be. You are a person, and I recognize you as a person and a child of God.
And that they are not even a face to so many people.
Yeah.
And just because she can say, have a good day, Sam.
Yeah.
It makes.
And she uses their name. Even if it's just a short, brief checkout at the grocery store, she'll use their name.
Right.
Yep. And I was gonna have this under the next category, but one of the things some of you have summer, I spent my summer in Atlanta doing education, which is a requirement for seminarians at a hospital. And I struggled with how many people I saw on the side of the road with the sign. And I see them go to North Augusta and stuff like that. And we had an adjunct professor who taught our world religions class, and I reached out to her because she actually lived in Atlanta, was one of the chaplains for Atlanta Hartsfield Airport, as a matter of fact. And so I said, how do you live in Atlanta? I just encountered it for like 3 months, constantly. I mean, one of the things she said, that it's so big, she taught me about, and I don't do it so much because I'm here, but I probably need to do it. A little bag that has like toothpaste, toothbrush, deodorant, maybe a gift card to McDonald's or something. Because there's always a challenge. If you give them money, what will they do with it? But then an example in this book said, it was actually, questioning giving money to somebody, and then remembering what C.S. Lewis always gave money because he never was sure which ones were really asking for the money. They really needed like the loaf of bread or whatever. And the thought was, what if I denied Jesus? And I've done a little bit of both, but one of the things that my professor said is just simply making that, whoever said just this, you did, Helen, a simple smile, making eye contact with a person who's on the side of the road asking for money. Because a lot of people just, what do?
Keep on driving.
We turn, and I'm guilty of it too, y'all. In this scenario that was in this book, sitting outside a outside a theater in Washington DC, and a homeless man approached the line and began asking for money. Conversation stopped. When people denied him money, they wouldn't even look at him. It's almost like the homeless person had a disease and we didn't want to catch it. The homeless are lepers at one time. So just acknowledging, my professor shared with me, just acknowledging their presence and making the eye contact with them instead of like looking away like, you know, I don't have anything to give you, so I'm just not going to acknowledge you standing right there. You know, in a car, I guess it's a lot easier to do that. But so, what are some of our biggest failures to respect the dignity of every human being? And again, we can think small, we can think big. I mean, we can certainly go on and on about big ones, but what are some of our biggest failures? When I say our, it doesn't have to be personally, but some of our biggest failures to respect the dignity of every human being. I know you all tough questions, kind of like when we were talking about evil a few weeks ago, right?
I would say empathy, failing to put yourself in that person's shoes. You never know why that person's on the side of the road. I think that's a huge one. And passing judgment as to why they are. It's hilarious. It was funny because last week at the food bank, he was talking about it. He said, it's really hard. At the food bank, you see somebody drive up in a new Jaguar. And I went to my food bank the next day, and we had a conversation about that. And she said, you know, Cindy, sometimes I struggle with that too. Some of our people that here at the food bank, then I seem to catastrophize food. But it's not for us to judge. We are here to serve and give what they need.
We don't know the whole story.
We don't know the whole story, and I was thinking of excuses after this, like, they're going to have to answer to that. If they really aren't in need and are coming for something in need. Because when Larry told me, I said, well, it could have been there was somebody she worked for's car that she had to borrow. Don't know, but in essence, there are people that do abuse the system, and they're going to have to. It's not for us to judge. Just us anything.
Might have been.
On that very thought, it's not for us to judge. We basically, when we run into something like that, I think in ourselves, we have to say, okay, I am not responsible for that person's behavior, but I am responsible for how I react to their behavior. And that's where we have to watch ourselves.
Very true.
Right? You were, what?
What? I get out, I get your thoughts here, okay?
Well, throw it at
I'm
us.
running. I grew up in Queens, New York, okay? And we used to go to my aunt's house, Lower Manhattan. 421 West 23rd Street. Woo-hoo. And on the way there, from the bus stop to her house, we walked past a myriad of folks sleeping in, you know, storefronts and stuff, covered with newspaper in the wintertime. If it's really cold, stuff, you know. And I said, what do you think's wrong with that person, you know? I might have been 7 or something like that. And I get dragged along with this almost whiplash. You know, don't look, you know. Anyway, so now fast forward to this day and age. This is my head now. I'm going to Augusta Mall, okay? And you get off the 520, you go down the hill, and there's somebody standing in the corner with the cutest little dog in the world, with a big old sign saying, I'm hungry, and they got their nails done. How do I not have some kind of, like, I'm not going to give a gesture, but feelings about that, huh?
Yeah. What's
How
up?
can,
It's the
and
judgment.
then I'll go to another place. I got 2 granddaughters in Seattle. And one of them's got heart and cold. Well, they both do, but we're at a downtown Seattle. Have you ever been to downtown Seattle?
Many times.
You can't go underneath the bridge there without seeing people camped out and stuff. It's terrible. And, you know, they used to have a drug problem. They probably still do, I'm just oblivious. But we're sitting in a this dumb little restaurant that serves hamburgers and hot dogs, and they just love them there. And there's a man sitting outside with just a sign saying, "I'm hungry."
Mhm.
And the student goes, "Oh, it's maybe 8 or 9?" She
Yeah,
goes,
maybe,
I said, "What?" She goes, "A man needs some food."
Mhm.
I said, "Well, tell him to get a job." And she said, "Really, Granddaddy?" I said, "Finish your meal and we'll take care of that guy." Hoping it goes away, right? It didn't go away. So I gave her money and she got a burger and a fry for the guy and took it out to him, and he was thrilled to death. So, she had great judgment. I thought to myself, boy, this kid's got really good judgment for such a young dude. Me, I'm just hardcore, taught like it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know why I told you all that,
That's okay.
except that, how do you make that call?
Yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, but you're gonna be wrong some of the time.
right,
Yeah,
I mean, but that's,
but you never know when you're
And I
gonna
almost
encounter
agree
God.
with, I know it, I almost agree with the person that said, we're not here to judge them.
Right.
We're not, If I had a big heart, a real Christian heart, which I'm trying to get to, it would open up, and I'd give somebody that.
Scotty.
Yeah, I think it was a couple weeks ago that we went through the Ash Wednesday. But the one that jumped out at me then says, accept our, it's the very first one that ends with us saying in return, accept our repentance, Lord. But the very first one is, accept our repentance, Lord, for the wrongs we have done, for our blindness to human need and suffering, and our indifference to injustice and cruelty.
Yeah.
And trying to live to that is our challenge.
Again, why we're all glad that they say, not I will,
Right.
but I will with God's help.
Right.
Not that, but when we do
This one says, accept our repentance, Lord. Same thing.
So how do you not open your mouth?
It's a hard one.
Well, no, I'm gonna get to the point.
Okay.
That we're obliterating parts of the world with our bombs. We have really good friends that have done the same thing and we've done the same thing for decades, How do you say, enough's enough, damn it, We're not gonna do it anymore. Talk, and we're not leaving this table until we have a good, reasonable solution.
Thank you.
Yep, yep. Actually, this actually suggests, going beyond our immediate level and has a whole, write your senators, et cetera, write your politicians, members of Congress, senators, all the things. So, yeah, it's hard. Having been over there, and I know you have, Scotty, too, it's hard to see some of the images coming out from Jerusalem. So,
But the same people, or at least their DNA, have been fighting against one another for what, 5,000 years?
yeah, right.
well, and it's
Don't excuse
political,
it.
and it's religious, there are all sorts of layers there, so.
But they're still human beings.
They're still human beings,
Yeah.
so we're gonna go back.
Exactly.
All
They're still children of God, and they're still human beings. Yep. And it's hard. It's hard to sometimes see someone, when they, I'm gonna just use the term, wronged you, or wronged a friend of yours, loved one. It's hard to see somebody as a human, but we all are. It's plain out hard to respect the dignity of every human being sometimes, especially those we don't like, honestly. How do we counteract things like that? Whether it's a group, an ethnic or social or other groups who have been disrespected, or, of course, we personally, we spend time in prayer and reflection and thought, and we just have to remind ourselves this person is a child of God. No matter how ticked off they make me, this person is a child of God. No matter how upset I am at what they've done, what they're doing, this person is a child of God. They're a human being. How can we counteract that?
One step at a time.
One step at a time. exactly.
Pretend that God is watching everything you do. Wait, you don't have to pretend.
That's true, that's true, very true.
I think by empathy and listening, I don't have to agree with you.
Yeah, yeah.
But I can empathize and listen and try to understand your side, even though it's not the same as mine.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Sit down and try to understand where that person's coming from. So one last question. Which of our baptismal covenant questions do you find the most challenging? And we're not going to do the do you believe in God piece, although we could follow those too. I'm just talking about the last. I mean, it's not easy. This is kind of this is our guidepost as Christians on how we ought to live our lives. Do you find any of those which do you find most challenging? Hopefully not the first three, but you know, the deacons are all first among all people. I respect that you can. Or on the flip side, which is the easiest for you?
I think that fourth one.
That's where I am.
Hardest,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Proclaim the word.
loving your neighbors yourself. Deacons are Christ among persons, loving your neighbors yourself.
No, I was,
Yeah.
I was in the one.
Anybody else? We had several people. That fourth one's a hard one. I think 4 and 5 for me. They're kind of related, sort of. Any of them come easy. Obviously, if they came super easy, we wouldn't have to say I will with God's help, but we got some people thinking out here. Or what has been the most interesting to learn about? That's your third question if you want to answer it. And you don't have to answer any of them if you want to. It's kind of a wrap up. Well, I hope you all have learned something this Lenten.
And thought.
And fun, yes. And we will, in a week and a half, we will renew our baptismal covenant on Easter Sunday. We will do it again on the 26th of April as we baptize Aslan and Mateo. Be reminded in short order about the commitments we make. Just a reminder, we will not meet next Wednesday, but we will have Monday, Thursday here at 6, and Good Friday at noon at Trinity, and Easter Sunday is at Trinity at 10, and then backing up to Sundays at 10 at Grace for Palm Sunday. Thank you all for your participation and your thoughts and your discussion.
Thank you
Thank you.
for doing this for us.
You're welcome. Go in peace, love, and serve the Lord, y'all.
Thanks be to God.
Right.